Okay, so I brought in a bunch of my mugs. This is not all of them. This is just a selection, but I wanted to bring in a selection of ones that kind of exhibit various different types of like handles and forms. So over here, these are all pulled handles. These are slip cast pieces, or slip cast handles. And then these are all hand built. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. One of the things I want you guys to really think about when you're beginning making your mugs is like where the handle is in relationship to the piece, because that's going to dictate how it's actually used. For instance, this is a Justin Rothschild mug. This is what I would call like a 2-finger handle, okay? So I can get 2 fingers in it, makes sense, right? It's a little low on the mug, so it kind of operates a little differently. When this thing is like full of coffee, it feels kind of like weighty down here, but it's a really great functioning mug. I love this piece a lot. It's one of the earliest pieces in my collection, and so I want you guys to kind of try these out. Also, side note, there is hand sanitizer up here. I would really encourage you all to handle these and pick them up. Just please use this before you do so. So yeah, so these are pulled handles. This is another mug with a handle kind of like low set on the form. This is a Paul Donnelly mug. Beautiful Celadon glaze they use here. Another like 2-finger handle. So it functions really well. A little different. We have a 1-finger handle. This is a Kenyon Hansen piece. So 1 finger can fit in there. It's also at the top. It feels much different than say this Justin Rothschild mug. So when you're actually handling these and handling your own mugs, I would encourage you all to kind of like think about how you like to use the mugs that you have in your life. So just quick show of hands, how many of you guys like drink coffee or tea in the morning? If you don't, those of you who did not raise your hands, do you know people that do? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so the vast majority of you do, and it's something to really think about, like how people use mugs and why they like the ones that they do. So I'd encourage you all to kind of like start to think about that. Why do I have the mugs that I have in my cupboard? Are they all just like IKEA mugs? Why do I like those mugs? These are like $1 at IKEA, which is great. That's why I put decals on them. But they all have like a very different feel about them. So again, check those out. See another handle I want to bring your attention to. This is a Julia Galloway mug. This handle again is much higher up. It's a nice 2-finger handle. It feels much different than say working with or handling this mug. So it's this like association with comfort. If you're left-handed versus right-handed, I don't know if that really has much to do with it other than like say the angle. Some people say they make mugs for right-handed people, but they make mugs for left-handed people. And it really has to do with like the angle of which the handle is sprung off of the piece. Sometimes if they're going one direction, it might be more comfortable to use one hand versus the other. Okay, so that's something to think about. I want to show you this one. This is one of our former students, Kelly Beach. I showed you one of her mugs last week. She threw this with a really dark clay body, then took wet newspaper, put those over top of the clay before she put a white slip on it, and then applied the white slip, pulled the newspaper off, so that's how she got this imagery on here. Okay. So I forget what name that has, but these are slip cast handles. So we're not slip casting in this class, but I did want to bring your attention to these because they're much different than these other handles. For instance, this is a Doug Peltzman mug. The handle feels really lightweight. It's because it's actually kind of hollow. It's slip cast. So you can find that there's like a really small hole in it under here. But this is a slip cast handle. As are these mugs. This is a Andrew Gilliatt mug, and this is a Paul Eshelman mug. This is beautiful. This one's a 3-finger handle. Get a lot more control over your mug. And this is Oktoberfest beer stein from several years ago that I made. I made a bunch of these for this organization called Greenwich House Pottery in New York City for their Oktoberfest. I made like 80 of these. It's like nuts. But you can, when you have something this large, you want a handle that you can fit several fingers in. If I were to have a small handle on a mug like this, if I had like a handle like this, you're not going to have much control over something this large, right? Because you got to think of the weight of the volume of the fluids, whatever's inside of this. Like if you don't have much control over it, it's not going to feel very comfortable to use, right? And I want you to think about like functionality and use with these. These are our hand-built handles. So this little red clay series is a series of work I worked on last spring, just to kind of flesh out some ideas of like modernist pottery. But I'm just working with like basically raw clay here and some glaze. But these are all just simple little slab built handles, and I'll show you guys how to make these in a little bit. But these are all mostly slab built. This is a great Sean. I can't remember his last name right now. Teacher at the University of Hawaii. He's got the dream job. But this is another little hand-built piece. I showed you guys his work last week, I think, in the cup demonstration. And then this is another really great one. This one has a lot more movement and activity happening here. It's a Mike Bowen piece. He's just working with simple slab-built forms and making these really interesting, like architectural shapes that function really well. So it's a beautiful little mug by Mike Bowen. Do you guys have any questions about these before we move on to the demos? Again, I really want you guys to pick these up and hold them, but make sure you guys use the hand sanitizer first. Okay? All right. Thank you.